Welcome to the Raleigh Board of Selectmen meeting of January 27th, 2014. The first order of business is to call the meeting to order, and just so that the audience knows, this meeting is being audio and video recorded digitally. Rick, you're in the audience tonight. Would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Oh.
Appreciate that.
Do you know it? I might have to fake part of it.
Well, just start it. We'll carry you.
Okay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks for putting me on the spot.
Pledge of Allegiance and Chairman's comments, and there are no Chairman's comments tonight. From 7:05 to 7:15 will be Citizens Query. So if there's anybody in the audience wants to come down and talk to us, we can at least listen to you. We can't act on anything, but we will listen to you. First order is appointments at 7:15, and it's an appointment with Rick Hydrant to discuss the following Great Mass Revitalization Task Force.
And I am going to introduce my colleague, Peter Phippen from Essex,
Okay.
who is one of the authors of this. He's a founding member of the task force, and one of the authors of the Hurricane Sandy Coastal Resilience C program, and can explain it far better than I could.
Okay, well, we need to wait till 7:15 so that
Yeah.
the people that might want to come in if they're a little bit late. So we'll go on to the first general business item, which is Internal Revenue Service mileage rate reimbursement charge. And Internal Revenue Service rate. The Board of Selectmen needs to vote to set the IRS mileage reimbursement rate at 56 cents, effective January 1st, 2014. The rate has gone down from 56.5 cents, which was set by the IRS on January 1st, 2013. Is there any discussion?
Give you the motion, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor of setting the IRS mileage reimbursement rate at 56 cents, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. The next item on general business is announcement from the Northeast Mosquito Control and Wetlands District on pesticide exclusion requests. Announcement from the Northeast Massachusetts Mosquito Control and Wetlands District on pesticide exclusion requests. The Northeast Massachusetts Mosquito Control and Wetlands Management District has notified us that there is a process that residents can follow if they choose to have their property excluded from public area-wide application of pesticides. And the notice. Pesticide exclusion information for the Northeast Massachusetts Mosquito Control and Wetlands Management District. Northeast Massachusetts Mosquito Control and Wetlands Management District is providing the following information regarding the pesticide exclusion program. This program was implemented to allow landowners the option to exclude their property from public area-wide application of pesticides. See 333 CMR 13.03 exclusions for application. This reads in part, designations for exclusions may be made by supplying the town clerk of the municipality in which such land lies with a certified letter providing the name, address, telephone number, if any, of the person requesting the exclusion, the address of the property to be excluded, and a description of the types of pesticide application programs for which exclusion is requested. The desires of the owner of the property will take precedence over those of a tenant according to 333 CMR 13.00. Designations must be made prior to March 1 of each year and shall be effective from April 1st of that year to March 31st of the following year. 333 CMR 13.03, paragraphs 1B and 1C. The full text of this regulation may be found on the internet at www.laws.mass.us/mass/cmr33cmr.html. Please feel free to contact our office if you have any questions, and please access our website at northeastmosquitocontrol.com. For more information on the Northeast Mosquito Control and Wetlands Management District, our telephone number is 978-463-6630. And we'll be posting this on the town's website and on the local cable channel. We will also make sure that the town clerk and the health department both receive copies of this notice. Is there any questions or comments on the mosquito control exclusion?
You need a certified letter.
Yes. Okay, item number 3. Letter from Board of Health, reappointment of Donald Russo as a limited health agent. Okay. January 15th, 2014. Board of Selectmen, Town Hall, 139 Main Street, Rowley, Mass. 01969. Reappointment for limited health agent. Dear honorable members of the Board of Selectmen, at a regularly scheduled Board of Health meeting held on January 13, 2014, a request was submitted from Mr. David Roberts of F.S. Roberts & Son Funeral Home to allow his assistant, Mr. Donald Russo, to sign burial permits when he is not available. The board voted unanimously to support the request to appoint Mr. Russo from F.S. Roberts & Son Funeral Home as a limited health agent. The purpose of this appointment is to provide a qualified individual to issue burial permits in the absence of both the town clerk and Mr. David Roberts. Mr. Russo's license as a registered funeral home assistant is current and in good standing. Attached is a letter from Mr. Roberts. If there are any questions, please contact the Board of Health office. Sincerely, Frank Marchigiani, RS Health Agent Coordinator.
I move that we appoint Mr. Donald Russo as a limited health agent.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to appoint Donald Russo as a limited health agent to sign in the
Mr.
absence.
Chairman, no Board of Selectmen action is required on this. It's
Okay.
a Board of Health appointment only.
Oh.
They're just letting you know
Oh,
Just
okay.
they've
information.
taken that action.
All right. So it's out of our hands anyway. Don't throw it away.
We might need it.
Yeah.
Okay, we still got about 5 minutes to go here. Item number 4, employment agreement, library director. Employment agreement, library director. The employment agreement between the library director, Pam Jacobson, and the Board of Health is in order. The Board of Selectmen needs to vote to sign the agreement. There are 2 originals. Okay, is there any discussion? I know we had worked on this prior to this meeting.
No, I think it's a standard contract, which is the pay rates effective with the employment schedule that the personnel board and the selectmen will pay. So I'll give you the motion to sign the contract employment agreement
Okay.
between the town and Pam Jacobson.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Entertain a motion to approve the employment agreement for the library director? Librarian?
Yeah, I made the motion.
You made a motion. So,
I second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Two of them. Okay, that's done. Okay, we have a request from Opportunity Works to hang a banner on the town common backstop publicizing the annual Lend a Hand auction scheduled for February 22nd, 2014. Requests from Opportunity Workshop to hang a banner on the backstop publicizing the Lend a Hand auction. Opportunity Works is seeking the board's permission to hang a banner on the town common backstop publicizing the 30th annual Lend a Hand auction. The selectmen have granted permission for them to do so in the past. Please see attached letter. And it's from the Opportunity Workshop to the Board of Selectmen. Opportunity Works is excited to announce its 30th annual Lend a Hand auction that will take place on Saturday, February 22nd, 2014. The support of our community has been vital to the success of our event and is even more critical to the achievement of meeting the fundraising goals for the coming year. This year, we respectfully request that the Board of Selectmen grant us permission to display a Lend a Hand auction banner sized 34 inches by 96 inches at a location in the town from February 5th to February 24th, 2014. With your permission, we would like to hang the banner on the backstop of the town common. If this location is not available, then we would be willing to consider a substitute location if you have other options that you would like to suggest. The event will follow its annual usual format that includes a live television broadcast to be aired on local public access channels in communities located in the greater Newburyport area. As in prior years, many Raleigh businesses have received free television coverage as a result of donations made to the benefit. The auction will take place on Saturday, February 22nd from 12 noon to 9 p.m. at the R.A. Knock Middle School in Newburyport. A special preview of auction items will be open to the public on Thursday, February 20th from 5:30 to 8:30, at which point we will accept free bids and requests from people interested in receiving our popular Action Party Packs. Opportunity Works is a private, non-profit organization. The Lend a Hand auction is our principal fundraising event that represents an increasingly important source of operating revenue. Proceeds from the benefit will go directly to supporting our agency's mission, which is to enhance the quality of life for people with mental retardation and other developmental disabilities, including autism. We are truly grateful for the support that we receive from our community and look forward to another successful auction. If you would like any questions, or if you should have any questions, please feel free to contact me at 978-358-5803. And it's Deborah Andrews, Director of Development, Opportunity Works.
I'll make that motion to give permission to hang the banner on the town common backstop.
Okay, motion made and seconded. The only thing I would like to add is that we make sure we have a phone number, and I think there is one on the letter, to call them, just so in case something happens to the banner, we can have it repaired. So motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. No, my clock says 7:15. I can't see it is 7:15 on that clock up there too. Okay, time being 7:15, we will go back to our appointment, which is a 7:15, and it's the appointment with Rick Hyden to discuss the following Great Marsh Revitalization Task Force. Rick has a guest with him tonight, so
Okay.
if you want to get started, we can.
I'll reintroduce myself, Peter Fippen. I'm with Mass Bay's National Estuary Program and the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission. You may have already seen this, but I'll just hand it out again. This is for a project, a proposal in response to a grant that, or RFP that was let out by National Fish and Wildlife Foundation for Hurricane Sandy Resiliency Funds. They've got $100 million that they're putting out there for an area that spans from Virginia to New Hampshire and inland to Ohio for this resiliency funding with a max allowable amount of $5 million. So a group of stakeholders in the marsh, there's a lot of people that are working in the marsh. You've probably heard of, the Great Marsh Coalition, the Great Marsh Revitalization Task Force, the Merrimack River Beach Alliance, the Great Marsh ACEC Management Plan Work Group. All these different groups came together to form something called the Great Marsh Resiliency Partnership. And we vetted various actions that we feel would help to restore the marsh. What this grant is looking for is to sort of holistically and naturally, using green infrastructure as they're terming it, to help protect the community infrastructure as well as bolster the natural wildlife and habitat for the marsh, or for whatever the entity is that you're looking at. In this case, we're looking at the marsh and the watersheds that feed into the marsh. So that's the Ipswich, the Essex, and the Parker rivers as part of this whole system, as you can see on the map. So we vetted through a multitude of projects to come down to the ones that we feel are the ones that are most affecting the marsh, degrading it in a way. Although the marsh is quite healthy, there are some areas where it could use some help. And so we chose those as our areas to start to pick at and help to restore the marsh, as well as a lot of assessment of the marsh and some education and outreach and some planning funds. So I'll just go through real quickly what those components are. The restoration component, which is the implementation portion of this grant, is we're looking at really three different portions. We're looking at a salt marsh vegetation restoration, which is something that we've been working on through the Great Marsh Revitalization Task Force for a number of years now, which is chaired by Senator Bruce Tarr. But that is the invasive plant management project that we have going on. We're going to expand that to the entirety of the Great Marsh. Fortunately, the worst areas are up in Salisbury and Newbury. There's some down in the Mill River and the Upper Parker River, down in Ipswich, and a few places. Pepperweed is another one of the plants that we're going after as well. So what our goal here is to remove the Phragmites and the pepperweed and let the natural seed bank begin to germinate and take over. We found that in other parts of the marsh where we've been doing this work, that it comes back within a year. You often need 2, sometimes 3 years of treatment to really get rid of some of the bigger stands. So that's the first particular project. We have a dune restoration project where we're focusing on the developed portion of Plum Island and Salisbury Beach, where we're replanting with native plants and not just basic dune grasses, but some of the other plants that are less well known, a full palette, diverse plant combinations onto the dune so it mimics what actually naturally grows there in combination with fencing. There's also a dune nourishment component to this, which will be primarily up in the Salisbury Beach area in concert with DCR and their work they're doing there, and a stabilization of that whole area as well. The third component is it's submerged aquatic vegetation. Essentially, it's eelgrass. Eelgrass has been out of the Great Marsh. It hasn't existed naturally in the area from Gloucester to New Hampshire in well over 75 years. This past year, we found a self-generated patch down in the Essex River, Essex Bay area. We've been working with UNH to try to reestablish it in portions of the southern end of Plum Island, in Rowley and Newbury and Ipswich. So what we want to do is really kickstart that project and get it going in full force. And what the eelgrass does is it helps to stabilize the mud flats as well as the creek banks and such. The submerged creek banks. So with those three things, we're looking at natural stabilization, natural vegetation as protection for the infrastructure of the communities. We're providing against storm surge flooding as well as sea level rise impacts. Embedded in those three projects is something called the Student Conservation Association, where we're bringing in students from 8 students for 6 or 8 months to work on some of these projects. These 3 projects I just mentioned require a lot of hands at certain times of the year, so we're going to be utilizing those students as well. We'll house them and bring them in. There's also a big undergraduate, high school, even down into middle school component that we bring into this project as well. The second phase or component of the project is the assessment, and that's got 2 components. One is the barriers to flow, or it's an infrastructure assessment. This is really in the freshwater components where there are barriers to the freshwater flow down into the marsh, feeding sediment and nutrients into the marsh, as well as undersized culverts, any road crossing where there's blockages, failures where you're getting flooding as a result of increased rain events that impact the roadways and the communities as well. There's about 1,500 of those that they've all been assessed from an ecological standpoint. Through this grant, we're going to assess them through a hydrodynamic or a flooding standpoint and prioritize the top 100 sites within those 1,500 that need to have some sort of implementation, and then start to go after funding to help do that. The other component is an extremely ambitious, comprehensive hydrodynamic modeling of the entire Great Marsh for salinity and sediment transport. So we'll be looking at salinities into and out of the marsh itself, up through the Ipswich River, down into Essex Bay, through the Merrimack, the Plum Island Turnpike Bridge, looking for any sort of restrictions that either don't allow fresh water out, so it's trapped behind, or don't let salt water in for the flushing. And that's one of the key components why these invasive plants are in there. We can kill them off all we want, but if we don't change the conditions that allow them to grow, they'll come back eventually. So that component looks at that, as well as sediment transport and erosional components of the Great Marsh. So we'll be looking at the barrier beaches, any man-made structures, how they impact what's going on. And of course there's the Salisbury Beach and Plum Island issues. The same things happening down in Crane Beach, as well as back behind sedimentation into Essex Bay. So we'll be looking at all those kinds of issues, as well as sediment getting back into the back marsh. Sediment into the marsh is the way that the marsh keeps up with sea level rise. So we'll be looking at what sort of things, where sand is coming from or not coming from, and looking at different types of alternatives, scenarios, running those scenarios to look for solutions to some of the biggest problems. We have about a dozen hotspot sites in addition to the general overview of the model that we're looking at, everything from Jericho Creek to Essex Bay to Plum Island. There's a whole host of sites that we're going to be really focusing on intently. And finally, the community planning component. We're looking at all 6 communities in this Great Marsh region, where we'll be looking at grassroots, community-based planning to help the communities work on developing, first of all, where the impacts of sea level rise and storm surge really take effect, and what are some of the realistic things that can be done to help protect against that. So that, believe it or not, in a nutshell, is the project proposal. We're looking at about a $3.2 million proposal here. We've got about $2.25 million worth of match already in place, and the actual applicant is going to be the National Wildlife Federation. We're feeding all this information into them. The proposal is due in on January 31st, which is Friday this week. And so it's fairly ambitious, but we've been told by not only the Department of Interior, but also by National Wildlife Foundation that we have a really good shot if we put in a solid proposal. You know, they're more or less saying that we will get the funding here. We have support, in addition to the letter that the Raleigh Board of Selectmen signed. We have 50 to 60 support letters, everything from Senator Warren's office to Bruce Carr, Brad Hill, you know, all the towns up and down the coast, trustees of reservation, Greenbelt, Army Corps, NOAA, Department of or Division of Fish and Wildlife. There's pretty much everybody who's involved with the coastal area of this part of the state that's signed on to this, and not only supports it, but in many cases is supplying a lot of match. As a matter of fact, Northeast Mosquito Control is upwards of $150,000 in match. They do a lot of work for us. As far as once we've treated invasives, they go mow it to get rid of it, so that next year when you come out, you can get access to the new growth that might be coming up. So, you know, there's a lot of players involved in here and a lot of support from all over the place. And so we really appreciate the fact that you guys took the time to consider this and to support our project. Raleigh will benefit not only from the planning component. There'll be a committee developed in the community and really hands-on working with the community to go in the direction they want to go with the planning, but also, you know, the invasive species control, the hydrodynamic modeling aspects. There's a lot of benefit. The barriers to flow project will look at a lot of the locations in town where there are problem areas of flooding. So there's a lot of benefit to the community. So, you know, really glad that you guys signed on here. So,
Very good.
any questions, comments? We should hear in April, and we'll know where we go from there. But
You guys don't do green crabs, do you?
we're, you know something, we are in the process of. We've got some initial funding, not for this. We were gonna put it in with the eelgrass because the green crabs really have an impact on the eelgrass.
Right.
But we have a grant that we're receiving to look at the eelgrass and the green crab problem. I know that Jack Gunstrom has been talking with Bruce Tarr about getting some funding, and we want to team up with him. We've got a committee that's been looking at the green crab issue. We've been working with Essex Shellfish, who traps them, and I've talked to Scott Presti or whatever, I think the shellfish guy in Ipswich, as well about that for what Ipswich is doing. So we're going to try to pull something together. So I'll talk to Jack at some point.
Yeah, please do that, because I know he's very concerned.
Yes,
And,
I mean,
actually,
it's
as
a
a board,
major effort. I mean,
Right.
there's now, we just sent some green crabs that we sampled last season up to Brown, I think it was, to have them do a DNA check on the green crabs, because now there's a strain that doesn't go dormant in the winter. So they're chowing down all year round. That's
Wow.
up in Maine. So we
Yeah.
wanted to see if that had gotten down here yet. So, yeah, I'll definitely be in touch with Jack about
wonderful.
that.
Yeah, well, no, he did make a presentation to us a couple of weeks ago, and
Yeah.
we are concerned about it, because there are quite a few clammers in Raleigh that, particularly in hard times,
Yeah.
that's their only income. So.
Yes, and the green crabs, I mean, they're decimating, you know, Maine and Nova Scotian
Yeah.
clam flats. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, keep tuned. I'll probably come back to you guys at some point in the next year or so to talk more about that.
Okay, that's
You'd
great.
like-
So is there any other questions?
It sounds like a super ambitious project. I mean, I'm impressed with you've been able to reel it off the top of your head without even looking at notes.
That's
So
why I couldn't do it.
it really sounds like a fantastic project and a lot of work and a lot of effort. And
Yeah, and a lot of players. I
I
mean,
hope we can get the funding and
yeah.
get a good start on
Well,
it. So
thanks.
if you
Yeah, I
need-
hope we get it too.
If you need assistance, come back to us and let us know, because I'm sure there are many citizens in town who
Yeah.
are very interested in the marsh and all that it entails, so.
Yes, definitely. So, yeah, we
Can
will-
you, I was just, one question that I had was about the students and the training for them. Are they-
Yeah. Yes, there's the SCA, and they're all trained.
Okay.
And then we're working with Mass Audubon, who has a salt marsh science project, where they do a lot of training with the various schools, and they take them out into the salt marsh. They teach them how to, all the safety precautions, but all the issues that are associated with that. There's pepperweed pulling, where they have a lot of students involved in that, and then of course, UNH is spearheading the dune restoration. There'll be a lot of undergraduates and graduates involved in that program. The modeling, the data collection for the modeling is more than likely going to be done by Boston University. So they'll have graduate students involved in that. And let's see, any other, and there'll be some interns and such used in the Barriers to Flow project. So, they're scattered throughout, and they'll all be trained to some degree or another as they go along. Part of this project is to actually train kids and give them some job experience, so that, and foster an environmentalism in them, so that they can go away from this project with some skills of some sort. So,
Oh,
yeah, there's a
Very
lot
good.
of aspects
Very
to it.
sounds very good. Okay, any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, due to the tight time frame in which the Great Mass Revitalization Task Force needed the town's letter, Chairman Snow sent the letter before he left on his trip. The Board of Selectmen now needs to vote to ratify its support of the letter. So I'll entertain a motion to ratify Bob's letter.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. Chairman, to one more point, I did get to watch a snippet of a documentary that Mr. Hydron was involved in making, and I'm not sure, will that be shown on the local access cable? Because that actually,
I haven't talked with Janet yet about doing that.
but that's possibly something, if you could just explain that
Yeah.
to the selectmen.
Yeah, thank you. The reason why I'm here with Peter is the last 6 or 7 months,
More.
8 or 9 months.
Maybe a year.
We started before the snow disappeared last winter on developing a series of short documentaries about the subject of Phragmites, specifically out here in the marsh. And we have, over the course of the year, developed 11 videos which cover one of the aspects we've been talking about here, which is the children in the Mass Audubon Great Marsh Science Project. And I went out with the class from Ipswich and representative from Mass Audubon, Liz Duff, who's actually might have been here tonight if Peter couldn't make it. And they do a real science project that has real, makes a real contribution. So there's a good shot of that, good explanation of what's going on with that. We've gone out with mosquito control as they're doing the mowing, videoed them mowing, and talked with the Emily Sullivan, who's in charge of all that. We've gone out with the guys who do the spraying and talked with them. We've talked with several scientists on different aspects, and we did an interview with Frank from National
Wildlife Refuge.
Park River.
Refuge, yeah.
So we've really tried to cover all the bases in the 11, and Peter and I, Jeff Walker, selectman from Newbury,
Yeah.
and we have a scientist, Dr. Moore from UNH, who's been on the team through this whole process, both advising and being part of the videos. The videos are almost done. 8 of them are now on YouTube. They are all listed and described and available to look at dangerinthereeds.com. Peter and I are hoping to wrap up a 20-minute overview of the 11 pieces this week to be part of what he's presenting
Proposal, yeah.
to what goes with that. So, not going to take your time showing, I didn't even bring it with me. My question to you, gentlemen, is, and I've asked Frank if he would be willing to host this at the Refuge. They have a nice theater. And I'd like to query your interest in coming up for a presentation of the videos, an opportunity to quiz us and people associated with the Refuge about the subject of Phragmites. And this is an invitation which we intend to send out to other selectmen from other towns as well as maybe other boards within the towns that may have an interest in learning more about what's going on with Phragmites and what needs to be done. Something to be interested in. I will be in touch with Deb.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time tonight. If you have
Thank
any
you for coming
questions,
in.
otherwise we'll continue on.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Okay. Okay, so that takes us down to general business again, and it's, I believe, item number 6. And item number 6 is discussed letter of support for Ed Desjardins for Preservation Award. A little background on this. Ed called me last week and said that he is now part of the Georgetown Historical Society. As most of you might know. Do you know Ed at all?
Yeah.
No, Joe, I didn't think you would, Joe. Ed used to live in town here, and he was on the Historical Society and several other historical committees, and moved to Georgetown. So he's into historic over there big time, as he was over here in Rowley. But the Georgetown Historical Society is sponsoring him for a preservation award, which is really put out by the Mass Historical Society through the Secretary of State's office, William Galvin. So he called me last week and wanted to know if I could write him a letter of recommendation. And so I did that. And I was talking to Debbie this morning and she thought it might be a nice idea if the board would also endorse it, because Ed really was on the Historical Commission for about 4 years when the commission split and became one as far as district and historic. Up until about 2000, they were 2 different committees. And then there was state legislation passed that allowed them to commingle, if you will. He was also a member on the district commission from 97 to 2005. So that was about 8 years on that one. He was also the president of the Historical Society for about 10 years in Rowley. And so we've put together a letter here, and I will read it. It's to the Secretary, William Galvin. It says, Dear Secretary Galvin, as members of the Rowley Board of Selectmen, we would like to express our support for the nomination of Edward Desjardins of Georgetown for a 2014 Historical Preservation Award. Mr. Desjardins was a citizen of Rowley for many years. He served the town as a member of the Historic District Commission from 97 through 2005, and on the Historic Commission from 2001 through 2005. Ed was also a long-standing member of the Rowley Historical Society and serving as president for 10 years. Ed served on many committees over the years whose compliments include the following. Town of Rowley Center School Restoration Committee awarded the Massachusetts Historical Commission Adaptive Use or Reuse Preservation Award. When the school department turned the center school over to the town of Rowley, we first looked at it for a possible library location. And that didn't turn out because of it would have been a 2-story building with floor loadings, and library building code floor loadings are very stringent. It's because of the heavy books. And it didn't quite make the grade for a library. So there was a volunteer committee without funding that got together and actually got the building up and running as the town hall annex. And Ed was a big player in that. He was kind of the spark plug, if you will. He also, and I worked with him on both, I worked with him on the Center School project, and I also worked with him on the Minister's Woodlot. And the Minister's Woodlot was the preservation of 22 acres of historically significant land, which is down at the corner of Main Street and Stackyard Road. That land was given to, at the settlement of the town in 1639, that land was given to Ezekiel Rogers, the minister of the church, as a woodlot and a planting land. When Mr. Rogers passed away in 1660, the land was deeded to the church. So it's been in the church's hands since 1660. In I believe around 1997 or so, right in that area, the church needed funding to do some work on the church itself. The church needed some major renovations and fixing. So their proposal was to develop some of that land. And there's 22 acres there. A lot of it is marshland. But they had done the perk testing and whatever they needed to do to check the land, and they came up with 2 house lots for that property. There was a movement through the Historical Commission and the District Commission and so forth that we really didn't want that to happen. So through Ed's work with that, we got Audubon involved, Greenbelt involved. There was actually a public donor who made donations. And we were actually able to raise about $110,000 and purchased basically the construction rights with a conservation restriction on that parcel of property. And one of the unique things that we did with that was that because the church had owned it for so long, since 1660, that we left the land itself in the church's name, so that they take care of it and manage it and still own it. But we have the restriction on it that nothing else can be done to it. So he was involved with that. And of course the display for the library, the Houghton Birds of the Great Salt Marsh display, Ed was involved with that also, and numerous other projects throughout the town. And one of my happy projects, and it was actually Ed's idea at the time, is we worked very closely with the Pine Grove Elementary School to develop a local history project for the 3rd grade classes. And that's been going on now for about 8 or 9 years. And we have the 3rd graders, and we have them pick a historic site or a historic building in the town of Raleigh. And they actually write a report on it. And once they get their draft report done, the Historical Society sends a couple of members down to sit down with the students and review their reports and give them any information that they might be missing or help them out with whatever they might need. And at the end of the year, they had their Parents' Day in early June, and the children read their reports to their parents at the open house type situation they have. So, I mean, Ed's very deserving, I think, of this recognition. So throughout the years, Ed did John and proved himself to be very devoted preservationist who continued greatly to the town of Raleigh, contributed greatly to the town of Raleigh, and is most deserving of the 2014 Preservation Award. So I would like to entertain a motion that we sign this letter and send it off to the Secretary Galvin as a recommendation.
I think that's a great idea. I will give you that motion.
Okay.
Second it.
We have a motion made and seconded. Is there any questions or comments?
No, well deserved.
Okay, all those in favor of the letter signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Just one other issue, it's really not an issue, just a request, I guess. I have also written a personal letter to Ed, in support of Ed, and would request that the board would approve letting me sign that letter as a selectman also. So
Want a
I just-
motion for that, or you want
I don't know if we need a motion, just, I think we
a
just need
consensus of
permission.
the?
Would that be okay, Doug?
Sure.
I just want to know that I would, yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Great idea.
Being the probably selectman obviously adds weight to the,
It does add a little bit to it. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that. So, thank you. Okay, that takes care of general business. Our next category is old business. And old business number 1. Update on 112 Central Street. Town Council Judy Pickett has gotten back to Debbie on 112 Central Street. Attorney Pickett is advising the Board of Selectmen to hold off and wait. She has been in contact with attorney Peter Ross, the attorney doing the probate work on this property. Attorney Ross told Judy that while there are significant title issues concerning the ownership of the property, he is in the process of filing documents to cure the problem. There is a purchase and sales agreement on the property, and the buyer had hired a contractor to demolish the building once the title clears and the property is sold. So,
that sounds,
So we're
that
gonna
sounds
hold off and
satisfactory
wait.
at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly save us a lot of work and
Right.
some money if we can get that done that way.
exactly, and I think, hopefully it won't take too long to do that. I'm thinking that if we get through this next couple of months, we probably should be okay if we can get that taken care of. Is there any comments from the audience? Okay. I know we having a butter here sitting here. I just want to know if you had any questions or comments. Item number 2 under old business. Sign Mass Fisheries and Wildlife documents for the sale of salt marsh land. Wow, we finally got there. It's been on the agenda for the last couple of weeks. We finally got all of the technicalities, hopefully, squared away. Uh-oh.
Hi, Tom.
Talk about good timing.
You know.
You eavesdropping in there?
Old business number 2, sign Massachusetts Fisheries and Wildlife documents for the sale of salt marsh land. The Mass Fisheries and Wildlife option to purchase salt marsh land document is ready for the Board of Selectmen to sign. Town Council Judy Pickett has worked on this document with the attorney for the Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, and it is now ready for the board to sign. And our able assessor, Sean McFadden, will notarize the board signature. And there's 2 originals to sign.
Do we need a motion, Mr. Chairman? or
I would request a motion to be able to sign the
I'll make that
documents.
motion that we sign the purchase and sale agreement. please.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to sign the purchase and sale agreements for the Fish and Wildlife land purchase. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Down to the bottom of the pile here. That one's for Sean. This one's for us.
There are 3 signatures required.
Yes. If there was 3, should be 5. I mean, yeah.
No, I mean, there are 3 separate pages for signatures.
Yeah, well, 2 of those pages are for the, I'll check it again, Joe, but 2 of the pages are for the notary.
There's an addendum.
This
Oh,
one
addendum on
here,
the back?
there's an
Okay.
addendum on the back. And, yeah, there's an addendum A.
That's
and
the
So
then
you'll be signing 4 times,
Oh, okay, so
because
there's
there's
Page 5
2 originals,
there's 2 original
and
documents.
page 7.
5 and 7 on each original. They all have to be notarized. The notary will have to
There's
do
only, there's
four
no back to the,
notarizations.
is the addendum with the last page, or,
Yeah, so you'd be signing on page 5,
yes?
and then on page 7.
Okay, our page 7 is, just has the notary. At least
No,
my
we
page.
signed 2 copies. Sean signed it in between.
No,
Is there a second complete
The
document?
next page, I think, is you.
Yeah,
Bob.
we did,
One more.
after Sean.
Yeah.
No, there is another, I'm showing another document.
We only have one there.
Right,
Yeah, we've
we're
only got,
missing a page.
we're missing the 2
On the
pages for
original?
the addendum, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how the copies were made if there was missing.
Unless it's somewhere else in the package, but this,
Page 5.
oh, it's in the middle of the
All right,
package.
so it just wasn't tagged. Bigger things. You sign here.
Yep. And then the next one. And actually, Sean needs to sign the page after the yellow tab.
Yeah, he and I can go over
Yeah.
that tomorrow. It's okay. So I just need him to witness
So
that.
we'll just get a couple
Oh,
more
okay.
pages on here.
This is
That's your copy, Deb.
my copy.
Okay. One before that one, so. Okay, good luck. Okay, you can go to the red tabs at that point.
I got it.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. Okay, that's taken care of. Old business, item number 3. Girl Scout land purchase update. Bob, Mary, and Dave Peterson, conservation agent Brent Bazelak, and Debbie have been meeting on a regular basis with Dave Santamena of Essex County Greenbelt Association. We are now in the stage where we need to conduct our own appraisal of the property and are seeking authorization to hire Landvest for a not-to-exceed amount of $6,500. We will be using the funds from the fall town meeting article. Is there any discussion or question?
Probably, Mr. Chairman, just as a brief explanation that we have been looking at the property. And Brent's been out there and doing some work, looking at wetlands, et cetera, and at this point here, to start moving this thing forward, we really need to do our own appraisal of the property so that we can end up, if we're gonna get the property, look to get it, negotiate with the Girl Scouts from any appraisal they have, and I think we need to do that under the law anyway. We have to be able to appraise it and take a look at it. So at this point, we've got a price from Land Vest of up to $6,500 to do that. And the original article was $10,000, so there's sufficient money to do that. This is a real critical piece of business to move forward on getting that property.
Okay, any questions?
Is there anything that maybe, you got anything that you want to add, Debbie?
Other than meeting regularly, and Brent has been doing a lot of site work, so we've been benefiting from his expertise in evaluating certain areas that, perhaps couldn't be developed anyway. So, so we're grateful to have his assistance in this process.
Okay, very good. So we want a motion on this?
We need a motion,
Authorize the
Mr.
spending?
Chairman.
Yep.
I'll give you the motion, $6,500 to hire Land Vest to do the appraisal.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Thank you, Sean.
You welcome.
Okay, old business item number 4, Town Administrator Update. Debbie offers the following update. Proposals for the Water Department billing, collection, and customer services are due on Wednesday, January 29th. File subbids for the painting portion of the annex project are due on Wednesday, February 5th. General bids for the remaining portion of the annex project are due on Wednesday, February 12th. Debbie, Amy, and Joe went to the Mass Municipal Association meeting last week. House Speaker Robert DeLeo spoke about the state budget. Speaker DeLeo indicated that the House would produce a budget that would not level fund state aid to cities and towns. Is there any other update, Joe or Debbie, on any of those items? Any comments?
No, Speaker DeLeo did receive a great applause for his special announcement that he was not pleased with the governor's proposed budget, and that the House will do better than what the governor has proposed.
Very good. Good. We need to hear that.
Yes.
Let's see what happens.
Okay, our next item agenda is new business, and item number 1 is town procurement policy update. Debbie will be reissuing the town's procurement policy to reflect changes to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30B. Purchases less than $10,000 require the use of sound business practices. Sound business practices are defined as ensuring the receipt of a favorable price by periodically soliciting price lists or quotes. This is a change from less than $5,000, and actually to $10,000. Debbie's asking the board's authorization to reissue the procurement policy reflecting the changes. Any questions or comments?
This is going out to all town departments.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded to allow the
For Debbie to
Reissue.
reissue.
reissue the procurement policy. That's what I was trying to say. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, fiscal year 15, Northeast Mass Mosquito Control and Wetlands Management District assignment. Assessment, I'm sorry. The State Reclamation Mosquito Control Board has sent the Board of Selectmen a declaration of support or no support of mosquito control funding for fiscal year 15. If the Board of Selectmen wishes to continue with services from the Northeast Mass Mosquito Control District in fiscal 15, The board must vote to support the funding, and the vice chair, Mary, must sign as the chief executive officer of the town. Now you guys are really scaring me.
Mm-hmm.
The town's assessment will not be increasing. Fiscal 14 was 54,321, and 15 will be the same, 54,321. The assessment is paid through the deduction of the town's cherry sheet aid.
They're gonna come looking for Chairman Murray.
Yeah, he's not gonna make a motion though.
I'll make the motion.
So
Second
any
it.
other questions? I mean, this is something we do every year.
Yeah.
And my way of thinking, which is sometimes can be a little strange from other people, but with all of the West Nile virus and Triple E things going on, and we're not sure what what summer's going to bring, we really can't afford not to stay in this project.
Exactly.
We really can't. So,
Very definitely.
all right, so I'll entertain a motion, and
Joe made it.
Joe made the
No,
motion,
Dave made it.
and
Jack seconded.
Second.
all those in favor signify by
Aye.
saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, request from Zoning Board of Appeals, Administrative Assistant Lisa Lozzi to designate position of Zoning Board of Appeals Administrative Assistant as a special municipal employee pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 268A. And there's a letter of request to the Honorable Board of Selectmen. My name is Lisa Lozzi, and I currently work as the Administrative Assistant in the Office of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I presently work 10 hours a week, and unfortunately, I now have the need for more hours. Therefore, I am asking the Board of Selectmen to vote on designating the ZBA position as a special municipal employee position, because in doing so, it would enable me to apply for a second job should another position within the town become available. I've been fortunate to be allowed to work for the town of Raleigh for approximately 15 months now, and I absolutely love what I'm doing. I especially enjoy the people I work for, as well as those I come in contact with every week. It's such a pleasure and wish to expand any future possibilities. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Lisa Lozzi. Any questions or comments?
I'll give you the motion to appoint that position as a special municipal employee position.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. New business. Item number 4, Fiscal 15 Budget Guidelines. The Board of Selectmen is proposing the following guidelines. Departments submit budgets according to the following guidelines. For the wage portion of the budget, please provide for any wage changes pursuant to collective bargaining agreements. For the non-union employees, the wages should reflect increases as follows: 1% cost of living increase, step increases in accordance with the new personnel system. The Personnel Board has approved a 1% cost of living adjustment in the current non-union compensation schedule. For the expense portion of the budget, please level fund if possible. However, departments needing operational increases need to clearly identify the reasons why, such as increased fuel costs, etc., and show the specific costs related to the increase. All the capital expense requests have already been submitted and are currently under review. Budgets must be submitted by February 11th, 2014. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just to
Mr.
clearly clarify the wage situation, in other words, under the new compensation schedule that we approved this past year, our step increase is 1.25%, so that non-union employees will be getting with a satisfactory performance will automatically get a 1.25% increase, and plus an additional, if we adopt this, an additional 1%, so that the raise would be 2.25% for non-union employees for the next, for the FY15 budget year. And then the collective bargaining is pretty much the same, but it depends on what the actual agreements, but they're in line with that proposal too, as far as I know.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
No.
Do we need to entertain a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And just one additional comment, Mr. Chairman, you and I have been meeting with the town administrator on the capital, all the capital requests, and we're in the process. We've had 2 meetings so far.
Yes.
We've kind of put them all together and been going through the list, and we're trying to, part of it's gonna depend on how much funds we have available as the budget season progresses, and we're trying to spread it out amongst the various departments. There's a fairly large number of capital requests, and we're trying to assess them and give them some weight, so that most departments that really need stuff will be able to get, at least begin to get something in the capital budget. And I think we're probably anticipating borrowing like a 5-year bond, like it has been done in the past, to fund that and then move forward. So just so department heads know and the townspeople know that we are really looking at capital expenditures, the stuff that a lot of stuff's been ignored over the years, and this is a step in the right direction to begin to make building repairs, vehicles, things like that are expensive items that we need to start purchasing and working on. So that's where that stands.
Okay. Any comments?
None.
Okay. All right, we're down to the minutes portion. And the first set of minutes is December 9th, 2013. Has everybody had a chance to review those?
Yes.
Okay, I have also.
I move we accept the minutes for the December 9th meeting.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded to accept the December 9th minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The next set is December 9th executive session minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
Yep.
Okay, I just want to kind of quickly look through it myself. Okay.
I move we accept the minutes for the executive meeting on December 9th.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded to accept the December 9th executive session minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next set of minutes is December 16th, 2013. Has everybody had a chance to read those?
Yes.
Okay, I have also.
I'll make a motion. We accept the minutes, December 16th, as printed.
Okay, motion made.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next set of minutes are the December 16th, 2013 executive session. I'm assuming everybody's had a chance to look at those.
Yes.
I'll make a motion. We accept the December 16th executive session meeting
I'll
as
second
printed.
that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to accept the December 16th minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. December 23rd, 2013, regular minutes. Everyone had a chance to read those?
Yes.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made
Second.
and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. And December 23rd, 2013, executive session minutes.
All right. I'll make the motion that we accept the minutes for the executive session for December 23rd.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for the December 23rd executive session minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Announcements. The town has the following vacancies. Conservation Commission, 1 seat. Finance Committee, 1 seat. Fence Viewer, 2 positions are open. Wood, Lumber, and Bark Inspector, 1 position open. Zoning Board of Appeals Associate, and has 2 open seats. For more information on these positions, please contact the Selectmen's office at 978-2372. Please remember that there's a battery box.
948,
948, what did I say?
978.
Well, it's close. Oh, you're right, Larry, it is 978-948-2372. The battery box is still at the town hall. If you have any of those batteries that have run down since Christmas, put them in a little plastic bag and bring them next time you come through the center of town, drop them off at the town hall,
And also at the library.
or also at the library, and I believe you can also drop them off at the Board of Health office.
That's correct.
If you get caught short. So it's a good program. We seem to be collecting quite a few batteries, which keep them out of the landfill. Rowley Food Pantry is in need of donations. The food pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. And they're always looking for condiments, particularly paper products, napkins, paper towels, things like that. Sanitary items also. If you get a chance, drop some things off at the pantry. Okay, our next item on the agenda is executive session. And the chairman calls for a motion to go in executive session for the purpose of discussing strategies with respect to litigation and union contract negotiations, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating and negotiating positions of the town, and to not return to open session.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor by roll call vote.
Aye, Jack Cook.
Aye, Joe Perry.
Aye, Robert Mary.
Hi, Dave Peterson.
Opposed? Nobody's opposed. Motion carried. We are now in executive session.